Martha wiped down the counter at Riley's diner for what felt like the 1000th time that Tuesday afternoon. At 58, she'd been working there for nearly 3 decades. Her hands moved automatically now, the rhythm of the work as familiar as her own heartbeat. The lunch rush had died down, leaving only a few regulars nursing their coffee. Martha smiled at old Mr. Peterson in the corner booth, then glanced at her reflection in the coffee pot. Grey streaked through her brown hair, and the lines around her eyes told stories of countless early mornings and late nights. But her smile was still genuine, still warm. The bell above the door chimed. Martha looked up and felt her heart skip. A man in an expensive suit walked in, flanked by 2 younger people carrying briefcases. She recognized that walk immediately, even after 40 years. The confident stride. The way he held his shoulders. It couldn't be. But it was. Robert Sullivan. Bobby Sullivan from Lincoln High School, class of 1984. Martha's hands trembled slightly as she reached for a menu. She'd seen his face in business magazines over the years. Sullivan Tech had made him a billionaire. But she'd never expected to see him walk through the doors of Riley's diner in their small Indiana town. Robert slid into a booth, his associate sitting across from him. Martha took a breath, steadied herself, and walked over with her notepad. "Welcome to Riley's," she said, keeping her voice professional. "What can I get you folks today?" Robert glanced up from his phone. Their eyes met. Martha watched something flicker across his face, recognition dawning slowly. "Hummingbird," he said softly. Martha's notepad nearly slipped from her fingers. That nickname? No one had called her that in 40 years. Her throat tightened with emotion. "Bobby Sullivan," she whispered back. A smile spread across his face, genuine and boyish, so different from the corporate headshots she'd seen in magazines. "Martha Reynolds. I can't believe it's you." His associates looked confused, but Robert waved them off. "Give us a minute," he said quietly. They gathered their briefcases and moved to another booth without question. Robert gestured to the seat across from him. "Please. Sit with me. Just for a moment." Martha glanced toward the kitchen. Her boss, Carl, gave her a curious look but nodded. She slid into the booth, suddenly feeling like that shy 17-year-old girl again. "Hummingbird," Robert repeated, shaking his head in wonder. "I gave you that name sophomore year. You remember why?" How could she forget? Martha felt tears prick her eyes. English class. Mrs. Henderson's poetry unit. I did my presentation on Emily Dickinson. "Help is the thing with feathers," Robert quoted softly. "You were so nervous you could barely speak. Your voice was so quiet, like a little hummingbird. But you got through it. And afterward, you told me it was the scariest thing you'd ever done." Martha nodded, the memory washing over her. She'd been terrified of public speaking. Bobby had been the popular kid, the one everyone expected to succeed. But he'd sat in the front row that day, giving her an encouraging smile. "You waited for me after class," Martha said. You told me I was braver than I thought. That I was like a hummingbird, small but mighty, always moving forward. And the name stuck, Robert said. At least between us. There was so much history in that simple statement. They'd been friends that year, an unlikely pair. Martha, the quiet girl from the trailer park. Bobby, the class president with the bright future. They'd studied together in the library. Shared sandwiches at lunch. Talked about their dreams. You wanted to build computers, Martha said. You had that old Radio Shack model you were always tinkering with. And you wanted to be a teacher, Robert replied. His eyes held a question he was too polite to ask. Martha looked down at her hands, worn and rough from years of work. Life had other plans, she said simply. My mom got sick my senior year. Cancer. I stayed home to take care of her instead of going to college. By the time she passed, I had younger brothers to help raise. And then... She shrugged. Time just kept moving. I'm sorry, Robert said, and she could hear the genuine compassion in his voice. I left for MIT that fall and lost touch with almost everyone here. I always wondered what happened to you. You did well for yourself, Martha said, managing a smile. I've seen your company in the news. You should be proud. Robert was quiet for a moment, studying her face. Martha, why are you here? Not to be rude, but working at a diner. It's honest work, Martha said, a bit of defensive pride creeping into her voice. It pays my bills. And I'm good at it. I make people feel welcome. That matters. It does matter, Robert agreed quickly. That's not what I meant. I just... He paused. Do you remember what you used to tell me? In the library, when I'd get frustrated with equations. Martha thought back. I told you that every person has value. That success isn't just about money or status. It's about how you treat people. You said the most important thing was to make people feel seen, Robert continued. To recognize their humanity. You taught me that, hummingbird. It's guided me through every business decision I've ever made. Martha felt warmth spread through her chest. I can't take credit for your success, Bobby. But you can, he insisted. Do you know why I'm here today? In this town? Martha shook her head. I'm opening a new educational center here, Robert explained. Free technology training for adults who never got the chance for higher education. I've been traveling to small towns across the Midwest, finding places that need opportunity. He leaned forward. But this town is special. This is where it all started for me. Where someone believed I could be more than what anyone expected. Your parents always believed in you, Martha said. My dad left when I was 16, Robert said quietly. My mom worked 3 jobs. They had dreams for me, sure. But you saw me when I felt invisible. When my dad left and I thought I might have to quit school to help Mom. You reminded me that my future still mattered. Martha did remember those long conversations in the library. Bobby had been so angry, so lost. She'd simply listened, shared her own struggles, reminded him he wasn't alone. I did what any friend would do, Martha said. That's just it, Robert replied. You treated me like a friend when I had nothing to offer you. No status boost. No advantage. Just genuine kindness. He reached across the table and gently took her hand. And now, seeing you here, still making people feel seen, still being that same person who taught me what really matters. Martha, you haven't wasted your life. You've lived it with integrity. Tears rolled down Martha's cheeks. She hadn't realized how much she'd needed to hear that. How many nights she'd lain awake wondering if she'd made the wrong choices. If staying behind had been a mistake. Thank you, she whispered. Robert squeezed her hand. I want to offer you something. The education center needs a director. Someone who understands this community. Someone who knows what it's like to have dreams deferred but not destroyed. Someone who can make people feel seen and valued. He smiled. Someone brave like a hummingbird. Martha stared at him. Bobby, I don't have a degree. I've been serving coffee for 30 years. And in that time, you've learned more about people and community than most college programs teach, Robert countered. We'll provide any training you need. But what I need most is someone with your heart. Your wisdom. Will you at least think about it? Martha looked around the diner. At the worn booths and the familiar faces. At the life she'd built here, small but meaningful. Then she looked back at Robert, at the boy she'd once encouraged who'd become a man determined to lift others up. Yes, she said. I'll think about it. Robert's smile could have lit up the whole diner. That's all I ask, hummingbird. They talked for another hour. About old friends, about the paths their lives had taken, about the dreams they'd once shared. When Robert finally had to leave for his next meeting, he hugged Martha tight. You changed my life, he said. Now let me help change yours. As Martha watched him leave, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. The thing with feathers, just like Emily Dickinson wrote. Still there, still singing, even after all this time. Carl came over, eyebrows raised. Everything okay, Martha? She smiled through her tears. Everything's perfect. I think something wonderful just happened. And it had. Because kindness, real kindness, never truly disappears. It plants seeds that grow in unexpected ways. It circles back when you least expect it. It reminds you that every moment of compassion, every word of encouragement, every gesture of human connection matters more than we'll ever know. Martha picked up her notepad and went back to work, but the weight on her shoulders felt lighter. The hummingbird inside her, quiet for so long, was ready to fly again.